No, not that.
Hello and welcome to Unrelenting number 9 for December 30th, 2021. I am Darren O'Neill. You are Gene Nevtuliev. And hey, the year's almost over.
Yeah, this is our last episode of the year.
I mean, unless we do one tomorrow, we could just get a few more episodes in. We can crank them out.
Oh, I'm gonna be like loaded tomorrow. I don't know about you.
You mean like with work or just loaded?
I'll just leave that up to people's imagination.
New Year's Eve coming. Yeah, tomorrow. Wow.
Yes.
This was another weird year, no doubt about it. And
crazy weird year. I'd say probably even more weird than 2020.
Oh, I would agree. It was like, oh, how things got to get better in 2021. And no, they got stranger. And we're living right now through the weirdness that is all the mainstream media bloviating about how this Omicron is all over the place. It's horrible. It's going to shut everything down, even though almost every legitimate health official doctor that I've heard talk about this is going, wow, this seems like the light at the end of the tunnel, like we talked about, I believe, on the last episode, that this is like a
definitely cold. Unless you're in California. And here's the unfortunate part. So I went to the Apple store today because I need to get something.
What did you need? I mean,
a phone.
What'd you do to the old one?
It's old. And so I go to the Apple store and I get there and there's like a bunch of people milling around outside the Apple store. And as I approach, I look inside the Apple store and there's a bunch of employees milling around inside the Apple store and no people. I'm like, the fuck? So I go up to the two dudes standing by the entrance. I'm like, so what's the line for? Are you only letting few people in at a time? It's like, oh, no. So because of the health emergency, our store does not allow any customers in the store.
Wait.
So what we're doing is we're helping people use the online ordering system on their phones to order the products that they need to order.
And then are they picking them up at the store where they can bring them out?
Yeah. Because your delivery option is pick it up at the store. So you're effectively, you're standing next to consumers. Now they're all wearing masks, of course, because it's Apple. They have their own requirements. None of the rest of the mall gives a shit about masks. All the Apple people are wearing masks.
Wait. So the rest of the mall stores are open and operating?
Oh, of course. They're making money.
And Apple's going, no, don't come in and buy our overpriced hardware.
Apple's like, this is like the worst it's ever been. This is the most virally infectious possible COVID that we've ever seen in our entire lives. So in order to prevent our employees from, and by the way, inside the store, like 50 Apple employees just milling around. They're all wearing masks. They're all wearing the Apple uniform, but they're just milling around doing nothing because they have nothing to do. But Apple are too much of an asshole just to tell people to stay at home because their store is closed. So they want their employees showing up to the store, standing in a crowd of 50 people, but not letting customers in.
That makes a whole lot of sense.
It's absolutely asinine.
Well, you would think Apple, being a technology company, would have figured out by now that really
Apple's
all they need.
Apple's a California company first, a technology company, really Chinese technology company second.
Man, I am still the most surprised that most of these restaurant stores and that just haven't figured out all you need is a bunch of UV light air purifiers.
What are you, a doctor now? You can't be talking about any kind of preventative, curative kind of measures.
I would think
that's
that would
not
make
allowed.
sense.
Do you want us getting banned off YouTube? Is that what you want?
Yeah, I think so. That
clearly, because these are verboten topics that you have not been allowed to discuss.
You cannot talk about UV lights killing viruses.
They don't kill viruses. It's never been proven. Fact check false. There's never been a single incident of proven
I think that
a particular UV light has killed any particular virus.
Well, not necessarily Omicron.
Now, to be fair, some viruses may be killed by some UV lights, but it is absolutely fact check false that every virus is killed by every potential UV light.
Well,
fact check false.
You can't say every.
See, I know how to write this shit.
Lawyer!
I could totally do it.
Right. I can write the script. I just think that's hilarious. So you show up and you're like, I'd like to buy a laptop. And they're like, well, you'll need a laptop in order to get online to buy a laptop.
Well, you could use your phone to buy a laptop. But the irony is, so I'm getting there. I'm like, well, but I have a business account.
Ooh.
See, I'm special.
You are special, Gene.
I get my discount at Apple. I don't pay, all the fees that other people pay. I get my shit at cost. And they're like, oh, well, I'll run back and find out what we need to do. And then, of course, the special business dude comes out.
Ooh, did they usher you into the store?
No, of course not. No, they ushered out the business sales guy and had him speak to me. And he's like, yeah, no, it's you're right. We don't have a system in place right now to handle the business
to sell you stuff.
Can I get your info and get your details? I'm like, well, I actually have the fucking barcode that you guys gave me like 5 years ago with all my details here. You can scan it. So he pulls his phone out, take a picture of the screen of my phone so he can get my info, so I can verbally tell him what I want. And then he said, all right, we'll go ahead and we'll punch this in manually for you on the back end, get you all the business discounts and stuff. But unfortunately, we're only open for another 2 hours, so we may not have this for you today.
You're like, that's not convenient.
Well, that kind of sucks. But you guys are closed tomorrow, though, right? He's like, no, we're actually open tomorrow. I'm like, oh, well, good. Then I don't care. That's fine. I just want to get it this year. So I don't really care if it's today or tomorrow. I'll have to come back tomorrow. But it was this whole big thing. Meanwhile, there's like a line of 15 people waiting that are all giving me dirty looks because I just skipped the whole line. And I'm, they like pulled out some private employee to come and talk to me. And, that look that you get when you bypass a line, when the velvet rope goes up for you. It's like,
you and your white privilege,
Gene. And your white motherfucking privilege, which, little do they realize I'm not actually white. But that whole like asshole look was abundant in front of the Apple store. But meanwhile, the rest of the mall looks like, any other day. It's normal shopping for everybody. No masks to be seen except for folks standing in line at Apple. Because a good chunk of the people in line also brought their own mask because, Apple.
Right. Masks don't really work, although we get kicked off YouTube for saying that too. Apple? Although Dr. Wen actually said masks don't work for a pandemic that we're going through. So it's like,
no, they don't. I've been saying that for 2 years.
Yeah.
Because you know why? Because the first thing I did is pull out the research papers that talk about the inefficacy of masks. And I started sending them out and laughing about it to my friends, most of whom are no longer my friends. And their replies were very much like, you don't know shit about this stuff. So it's like, yeah, this is why I'm forwarding you the actual studies that were conducted at my alma mater, mind you, about this very topic. And you don't have to take my word for it. Take the word of PhDs. No, that wouldn't work. And of course, the article that I sent out to everybody 2 years ago had to get pulled, and then a different paper had to be put out that talked about how that original paper has been pulled by the authors because they felt that it might, not because it was wrong, mind you, but because they felt it might convey the wrong sentiment.
Right. And see, now it makes a lot of sense why you're talking to me, because everybody else stopped talking to you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
sense. The only reason you realize that, right?
Yeah. But
I used to know people.
This is an aerosolized thing.
I used to be somebody.
You used to be somebody. You'll be somebody again someday. I mean, you've got good beard game. We've covered that.
I do have that going for me. Yeah, I'm different enough from the hipster beard that no one's going to mistake me for that.
And this is a virus that everybody's going to get at some point. I mean, you can keep running from it, and I would prefer not to be sick.
Most people have gotten it already.
Yeah, well, a lot of people that have gotten it don't even know that. Now, I don't even know how they do the science, and I really should put that in air quotes, in the podcast of, well, we believe, an article I read the other day said, but we believe that, about 40% of the people that contract this will have no symptoms and not even know they had it. 40%. It's like, that's unbelievable.
It's pretty much on par with the common cold.
Yeah. Which would make a lot of sense. Again, with the aerosolized thing, it's like, well,
given that the common cold is a coronavirus.
Yeah.
Or a group of viruses that fall into the coronavirus category.
And, you always heard when people had a cold, if they would just wear a mask, they would save everybody around them from getting sick.
Yeah. Well, the thing with masks, and what most of the masks that people are wearing were designed for, is to prevent masses of your snot,
yes, physical stuff,
from being hurled at 70 miles an hour, which is the speed of a typical sneeze, and into somebody else's face. So
or into their body if you're a surgeon.
So for that, the mask does work. I'm not like a mask denier saying that all masks are made of cheesecloth. Some masks actually are, but no. There are appropriate uses for masks. However, the masks that everyone's wearing do very little to nothing to prevent transmission of viruses that are aerosolized.
Yes. I mean, and that's the normal surgical masks do next to nothing. But what really does nothing, it seems, are all of these things that were basically made out of T-shirt material.
Oh, yeah. That's usually what I wear. Like if somebody forces me to wear a mask, I've got a stash of these masks that are basically made out of the same material as like women's panties.
T-shirt. Right.
Yeah, no, they're literally just slightly different pattern from a panty.
And it's easy to breathe through, so you don't have to worry about
giant holes to breathe through. Now, I also have a custom mask made when this whole thing started. That was a lot more interesting. So it's made by a guy who makes leather products. So
is this a little S&M mask or something you got going on here?
No, it's a COVID mask. It's totally a COVID mask, but it's custom fit to my face.
With ball gag?
It's
optional.
Made optional. It's made for somebody with a beard.
Oh, that's true. With the big bushy beard, that's harder to find a mask that's going to be.
Masks don't work with beards in general.
No, that would not.
And it's it's nice, heavy brown leather. And it looks really nice. I've gotten a ton of compliments by women when I wear this thing. Actually, some guys too.
Well, the less they can see of your
beta
face,
males, not the alpha males.
Yes.
The alpha males wouldn't compliment me.
So not
the
Jack
beta
Murphy.
males would.
Yeah, Murphy.
Who's he?
Yeah, right.
Who's this guy?
The women are like, the less I can see of your face, Gene, the better. You look really good when I can see less of you.
It is really funny because when I have worn that mask, it is very common to have somebody come over, and not necessarily even not attractive women, but just women in general. And because I rate all women by attractiveness as soon as I see them,
because that's polite.
I'm an actual man,
right? And they're seeing something that nobody else is really wearing.
Right. It's like, how many other people do you see walking around wearing a leather mask at the grocery store?
Nobody, I'm guessing, because I don't leave the house. But otherwise, I've never seen anybody, even on TV. Right.
So there you go. Even on TV, you don't see that. And so it looks a little bit like the Hannibal mask in Silence of the Lambs.
Right. That's kind of what I was picturing.
Yeah. Then you have a good impression. But it's kind of brown leather, but it looks really nice. And, but I wear it on special occasions. I don't, usually the little panty mask works easier because it's easier to wear and breathe through and stuff.
Well, yeah, I can't stand it. I mean, the mask, my glasses fog up. It's just really a pain in the ass. And then plus knowing that it doesn't work to keep you from getting a virus, then it's a
faux mask. And the guy who made it was like apologizing that like, I don't know if I've sealed all the holes properly because it's got carbon filters in it.
Oh, nice.
It's like made really, this is an expensive mask.
Well, yes. And this was the only thing
custom made.
Yes. It has to be airtight. And we talked about a product on Grumpy Old Ben's back when Ryan Bemrose was still doing the show.
Who's he?
That when LG, the company, and I don't even know if this ever went into production, but it was
Lucky Gold Star.
It was a mask that went on. And it had like the HEPA filtering and the carbon filtering and everything. So the only way to get air in and out of the mask, there was a fan that's, pulled the air in. And it's like, well, okay, that I could see if you were trying to keep yourself from inhaling a virus, that would work. Of course, we then totally forget about the fact that that same virus can hit your eyeball and boom, you're infected.
Right. That's the other irony. And I've talked about this on early episodes of Sir Gene as well. Is the fact that a lot of other parts of your body are perfectly capable of transmitting and receiving viruses as well. And your eyeballs are particularly susceptible because you have a wet membrane that is connected to really a liquid substrate underneath a gelatinous shell. So it is extremely permeable. It's really hard to avoid having viral infections coming in through your eyeballs without wearing glasses.
You need the full really nuclear mask is what you need.
Well, not necessarily nuclear, but yeah, like if you're working in an environment that has a, high degree of contaminants, that's the type of mask you want. And certainly biological contaminant environments.
I have not seen anybody with those out in the street either, which I would applaud.
And I thought about wearing mine, but I'm like, it's just too dorky looking. You look like a weirdo wearing that. But you got to have them just in case, if shit hits the fan.
Yeah, things get really bad. You want to be prepared.
Like you got to have your chem suit. You got to have your radiation pills. You got to have your mask. Like,
hey, if you need that whole kit, you can go to unrelenting.show and get the Gene Tuliev kit with your chem suit.
An autographed Gene Tuliev kit.
Yes, yeah, with the whole thing.
Exactly.
You get your mask.
Yes, I'm working on a deal to get the really good stuff from Alex.
That way you can have the leather mask as an option. Mm-hmm. It's going to be great.
Actually, I can get those wholesale because I just talked to the guy that made it yesterday, and he was talking about how he's getting more and more wholesale orders coming in. So if somebody wants a nice leather mask that is custom made, just reach out.
Yeah, for women especially, these things are fashion accessories.
If you need to ask how much it is, you probably can't afford it. So
right.
Keep that in mind.
You'll get the Gene Tuliev discount.
Yeah, you'll get the special price.
But this is a virus that's going around. I mean, there's no question about it although I don't believe the case numbers because we all know how many false positive cases there have always been with these tests. But it does seem like all of a sudden now, my wife's boss, he went to a wedding. His son got COVID. He didn't.
Yeah.
Him and his wife somehow avoided it. But my nephew's fiance believes she has COVID now. I mean, there's right now more than any time people seem to be
there's
sick.
A lot of it. I know a couple of people. I just had dinner with a guy that's got it right now, just recently here a few days ago. Another friend of mine I just talked with that I haven't talked to for like a month and a half. He said his whole family's got it right now. Somebody came into town and they're like, "So do you have COVID? Like all the other friends that I'm going to see here?
Would you like to?
No, I don't need to have COVID. I'm okay. Thanks."
Yeah. And the reality is a lot of people will never know, or it seems with the Omicron.
Well, you got to have a good immune system, first of all. And the best way to do that is not to introduce foreign bodies into your body.
That would be a plus.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be prepared. I mean, again, exercise is good. Sunlight is good, but winter now here. So
sunlight is good. And there's certain measures that I take that are a little more unique. I do have ultraviolet lighting everywhere in the house.
Vitamin D.
I do a lot of, that's what the UV is for. It's to generate the vitamin D, which is very, very important. And I generally maintain a much higher carbon dioxide percentage in the house, which is also useful for that purpose.
Higher CO2 is good. Well, I mean, does that do the reptiles?
I try to not drop below 1,000.
Interesting.
Yeah, 1,000 parts per million.
You would think that CO2 would be bad. I thought this is horrible gas. Well,
that's what they'd like you to think.
I suppose. Since this whole thing started, we've just been doing the regimen of the supplements.
Supplements are good.
Elderberry and quercetin and vitamin D3 and, just being aware of what's going on. And you're probably going to get it. What you want to do is just minimize, because
I've got my dad on quercetin now, and he said he's actually noticed an improvement in clarity in his vision.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's some very cool stuff that is available in the homeopathic world. I don't believe in it. I mean, if you get somebody shoots you and you got a bullet in your leg, I'm not going to be like, well, let me wrap that with some herbs and it'll heal right up.
But just get some mint and dandelion, and then hogswort,
right,
and just patch it yourself right up.
A lot of this stuff has been shown.
Just don't forget, this show does not provide medical advice, legal advice, or financial advice.
Yeah, take no advice, basically, from us. The vitamin D seems to be very important with people.
Yeah, most people in the U.S. are too low on vitamin D. They're
because you're inside too much. You're working in a cubicle. You're not getting fresh air.
And ironically, the people that live in the South have bigger issues with a lack of vitamin D than people that live in the North. And I think that's because in the South, people are slathered in suntan lotion year round.
Out in the sun, yeah.
And so nobody wants to get any sun at all. Whereas when I remember living up north, like you look forward to those longer, warmer days in the spring where you just, you want to be walking around with no clothes on, or at least, less clothes on.
I hope
Let's just say less
privacy
clothes
fence.
on.
Yeah.
No, just, at the shopping mall.
Right.
Well, I didn't mean outside. I meant inside.
Well, yeah, speaking of the outdoor mall here in the Chicago suburbs.
Yeah.
Which is
Chicagoland Mall.
The Oak Brook Mall, which is one of the higher end malls. I mean, there's some stores downtown.
I think there's an Apple store there.
Yeah. In the Oak Brook store, at Oak Brook Mall, in one of the higher falutin areas. There was a shooting the other day. Yay. That was, I saw somebody that posted a meme with this on Facebook. Somebody posted like, oh, what's something that you did as a kid that now is considered dangerous? And he posted shopping at Oak Brook Mall.
Wow.
This is it. This is what the Windy City and other areas have turned to, which is crime is running rampant, but we keep going, no, it's all just because of COVID.
Right.
It's all because of COVID.
It's, I think maybe not having police departments might have a slight impact.
You think?
As well.
You think the lack of policing, you think the lack of holding people accountable for their crimes will maybe encourage people to commit more crimes?
I saw the funniest headline the other day, and I didn't read the article, I'll admit, but the headline was really funny. It was a interview with somebody that was arrested for shoplifting, I guess. And the headline was this person, or a quote from this person that was part of the headline, was that Walgreens purposefully waited until I had stolen over $3,000 before filing charges. The bastards, how dare they?
I saw that. I think it was Target, but I saw that article.
Okay, I thought it was Walgreens. But
it could be both.
Yeah, it's like, hold up. This person that's been stealing stuff is bitching about the fact that they waited to do anything about his theft until he crossed over the legal minimal limit that is higher than what their attorneys general have decided is okay for the state that he's in.
It could be Mandela effect. I thought it was a woman and she was upset that like Target was using the camera from multiple stores. It wasn't even like it was the same store.
I think this is a different instance.
So this is possible. This is possible.
I think we're deviating in our articles now.
This could be a new game.
I'm pretty sure this was a guy. Yeah.
Interesting. This could be a new game for these stores.
It could be a Mandela effect. Maybe his name was Jack Murphy. I'm trying to remember.
Maybe. And the one thing I thought was really interesting, there was an article, and this was then verified because I thought I couldn't believe this. I mean, it seemed weird. It's not that I couldn't believe it because it's a government, but the IRS states very clearly that you have to pay taxes on anything you steal.
Yeah, you do. And that is absolutely right. Illegal gambling, theft, all these things. That's how they got Capone. You know that.
Yes, tax evasion.
It's tax evasion. So you absolutely need to pay taxes on ill-gotten goods.
So if you were out shooting, well, not shooting, well, maybe, but if you were out looting and you stole that new $2,000 Apple laptop, well, Apple might not come after you, but the IRS goes, where's our $100 on the $200, whatever it would be on tax on that.
It's funny you kind of mentioned it that way. Maybe this is a good way for Apple to avoid having to have any store thefts by simply closing the store and just having folks that work for them outside of the store instructing people on how to use their mobile app.
Yes. Shoplifting is a lot harder.
Wow. That's an interesting idea. It's like, all right, I'd like to come in and buy some groceries. Oh, sir, we'd love to have you just use your mobile app to order your groceries.
And I was wondering this, and I may have mentioned this on a previous show, because we do a lot of our shopping at Meijer. They're a national chain, but a bunch of times over the last year, they've run specials where they gave you a discount if you use their service where they bring it out to your car. And I'm like, why? They're doing more work. But maybe this again is why, because shoplifting goes way down.
Prevention. It's hard to steal shit when the only shit you have access to is shit you bought.
Yes.
And paid for.
Yeah.
That's a very, very good point. I didn't even think about it. That is super creative. Congratulations,
this could be the world
Apple.
we're going to. Yeah.
So Apple is people in. Maybe Apple is just pretending to be going along with the whole California program of like, we don't want to infect anybody. But meanwhile, this is their sneaky, quiet way of preventing store theft.
If Apple really cared about their customers, next to that $1,000 iPad would be a sign that says, if you steal this, if you shoplift this, you owe the IRS $100.
That's true. Well, maybe even more. Yeah.
Yeah. whatever. Here it's like 10% or so.
And you can even use Apple Pay to make the IRS payments.
See, that would be even better for Apple. Just tap your phone, baby.
Yeah.
The IRS takes that money. But it's an interesting thing for people if you get caught. Here's where this is interesting for these towns that they have the DAs that aren't going to prosecute all of this shoplifting.
Mm-hmm.
If the IRS gets wind of this, if somebody stole, $50,000 worth of goods, it's like, haha. Well, even if they're not going to jail for shoplifting, they're going to jail for tax evasion because the IRS does not mess around with that.
They're going to have to, they probably didn't sell the goods for full price. So they're going to have to show a much decreased profit on those goods.
And you're responsible for the tax on the full price.
I don't know that you are, because if you're a reseller, which, legitimate or otherwise.
Well, the IRS says you are.
Well, I don't know that's true. I mean, we don't provide legal or tax advice here. So let's just say do your own research with your own lawyer or IRS representative.
Which is an interesting thing to fill out. I mean, I want to see the tax return where it's like claiming $50,000 in stolen goods.
Yeah, that would be an interesting tax return that would be followed up by an even more interesting charges being filed against you.
Probably. It's like, but you have to kind of turn yourself in.
You've got prima facie evidence in the tax return that you had to sign under perjury penalty.
Yes. That you stole a whole lot of stuff.
So you either admit that you stole shit and pay taxes on it, or you don't admit that you stole shit and now you're doing tax evasion.
This might be why Biden
almost makes somebody want to bring the stuff back.
Yes. Well, that was it. That was in the rule was if you stole something in the calendar year and had not returned it by the end of the year, you owe the taxes. But if you brought it back, so if I stole your car from you on January 1st, but gave it back to you on December 31st.
Right. So you can use it for the year.
Yes,
so this is very similar to the laws on dealing with gambling income.
Yes. Well, the most beautiful thing about the gambling income is that it doesn't matter that you came out ahead or behind for the year. It's like you pay on a daily basis. If you leave the casino.
No, that's not true. No, and remember, we don't provide legal advice, but you absolutely can deduct your losses. There's a minimum dollar amount that you have to hit. But as soon as you cross that amount, you're qualified as a professional gambler.
Right. And it's not easy. I think it's like over 50,000 a year. I mean, it's a pretty high number.
I mean, would somebody be gambling less than that, frankly?
I need to party with you at the casinos, obviously.
Can you afford to party with me at the casinos?
Yeah, if you're paying. I mean, I can afford.
Where did this me paying part come from?
I can afford to hang out with you then.
I
mean, it sounded earlier that you were desperate for friends because everybody stopped talking to you. So I'm like, I could be there for you, Gene.
Friends these days.
You got plenty. I'm
trying to get some more friends.
You're trying to.
I need more friends to donate money. That's what I need. I need I'm a poor podcaster and shit. So I'm just trying to make a living by pointing out drama that other podcasters have.
This is how the world works. This is how YouTube works. This is where the hits come from because, people know that people are searching for that topic because once again, it's like chum in the water. Once people get a little nibble, they want to know more. They want to know more, which is why this whole Prince Andrew thing, now that Ghislaine was convicted, now everybody's like, well, wait, why is this guy not in trouble?
Have they convicted any men for any of this ever?
No.
I mean, I guess technically
I'm sure there've been some, but
Epstein, but they gave him a sentence not needing to be served thing or whatever it was. Like basically just don't do it again.
I mean, which is kind of, you look at what people are getting away with now and it's like,
we might see some more convictions because I think there's quite a few more women, girls, whatever, that went to that island that could all be charged.
The interesting thing is
participating in underage sexual, what do they call it? Sex trafficking.
Minor, yeah.
I mean, technically, like a minor is participating in that if they're the one being trafficked.
Now, the interesting thing is, and this Adam Curry brought it up, was the fact that we are talking about things that happened years and years ago where there is no physical evidence. So this
you
is
just need the 4chan guys on this, and they'll dig up some porn videos from last year.
Or there'll be deep fakes, which is now something you have to be worried about.
No, there's no such thing. That's just a marketing propaganda term.
So anybody out there with the knowledge and the ability to create deep fakes, Gene is now your target. But send him the video. Don't do anything mean with it.
Yeah, just you could send it to my email. That'd be awesome.
But this is the world where we have a security camera. We have people seeing people that are getting robbed to massive extents. Stores are getting robbed, and they don't want to prosecute. But then we're prosecuting cases of somebody that said this happened to them 10 years ago. I mean, the Cosby thing the same way. And he maybe did it. I don't know. I don't really care. But I think it sets a very dangerous precedent when you allow somebody to come up.
Cosby won his last appeal and he's out.
Yes, he is. Which, I mean, again, whether he actually did any of it or not is irrelevant to me for the concept of anybody can go, hey, 10 years ago, Gene Nevtuliev did this. Okay, but do you have any physical proof? No.
Yeah, I mean, look, just because I record everything doesn't mean that I publish everything on the internet.
It's not a bad idea to record everything, to have the evidence that you didn't do it. You almost need every moment of your life recorded now.
Yeah, I've been a fan of that for years.
You know, it's interesting to me. Have you ever watched the television show FBI?
No, I don't have a television.
You have screens. You have multiple screens that you can watch.
I have screens, but I don't have a television, no.
I don't have a television package, but there's this thing called the internet.
I don't have the channels that like are not digital channels or whatever. Yes,
but there are ways to get the content to your screen.
Yeah, I'm not willing to pay for that.
I didn't say you had to pay for it. Just said there were ways to get
break
the
law and do it illegally either.
I would not suggest anybody break the law or do anything illegal.
I wouldn't suggest that at all.
But the FBI, the show, Missy Paragerm is the
irony of stealing a show called FBI.
Yes,
it's too cheap to pay for it.
The FBI warning comes up at the beginning. If you steal this show, it must really be good.
You will end up on the show.
Right. And it was interesting because I had never watched it. We were looking for something new to watch. So we've kind of been binging this. And it gets.
And you were looking for something new to watch on Pirate Bay? Is that what you're saying?
Right. Something like that. The show keeps getting more woke and more woke. It's not a bad show, but it keeps getting more woke. But the interesting thing to me was everything that happens in this show seems to go, which, as you know, NCIS, all these shows are so formulaic, but it's now.
All I know is zoom and enhance.
Yes, they do this. Oh, God, they've done that so many times on this show. The zoom and enhance thing. But it's also, let's find them on the traffic footage and then backtrack from that and follow them through the city. And it's like this magical thing that as long as they can see you at one point, they can tell where you were, 2 days ago.
Well, that actually has existed for at least 15 years that I'm aware of.
I know there's some of the ability, but I think they're kind of taking it a little too much for granted that.
Well, let's just say I've been a consultant for a number of departments of transportation.
Now, exactly how good do these things track then? I mean, is this something where literally it's like, okay, if we see a car parked next to the Neiman Marcus on Michigan Avenue in Chicago, you could tell me where that, as long as it was still in the city, you could tell me where that car was 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty impressive.
Now you can't do that with people, but I mean, well, in Vegas, you could do that with people.
Right.
In some cities, you could totally do it with people, but you could absolutely do that with cars in most metropolitan areas right now.
And I remember reading that in Vegas, why there's a lot of casinos that are like, well, when you come in through the front door, there is a long escalator. Have you ever noticed this is why there's always a long escalator in a lot of these buildings? Because they want you standing forward, looking forward, so they can get the nice facial recognition snap.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know.
You know what defeats all that shit is facial hair.
Yes, or wearing a mask, which everybody's doing now, thanks to COVID. But that's the other thing. There's every time they find somebody on a grainy traffic cam, they're like, hey, let's run that through facial rec. And like 5 seconds later, they have a hit. It's like, that doesn't work that way. It's really, really just kind of lazy writing,
I thought, I don't know if you saw the show. There was a show about the Las Vegas that was, it might have even been called Las Vegas. But it had, what was that actor's name? He was like this tough guy, kind of blonde looking dude.
Oh yeah, years ago this was on.
Yeah, years ago. And he was like the guy running the security department of the casino. You know the show I'm talking about?
I think so. Was James Caan in that show?
Yeah, James Caan. That's the guy. So James Caan was the main kind of headlining actor of that show. And I think it was just called Las Vegas. Maybe I'm wrong. But it was a pretty good show. And I remember when that show came out, they did some really cool visuals with, like showing the back rooms with all the camera monitoring and then like going through the camera out to the actual set or location. It was very cool. And what the hell just happened?
I don't know. What happened?
That's weird.
Uh-oh. CIA?
My Descript stopped recording.
Uh-oh. Have you paid the bills?
I did. Yes, indeed.
They're like, no mas.
I paid the bills. Okay, well, I guess the post show is either not happening or it's going to be awfully short because it's not being recorded.
That's weird.
But at least you're recording the main part of the show. So
yes.
This will be that'll be out.
The old-fashioned local recording way.
And for people that don't know what the hell we're talking about, pre-show, post-show. So the way this show is recorded is we start talking somewhat informally, but with the recorder on. And we chat about some topics. We're not planning the actual show topics. These are just things that may not be interesting enough or maybe too risque.
Right, maybe too interesting
to talk about during the actual show. So those will generally be talked about either in the post-show or pre-show. Pre-show if I'm thinking of them. Post-show if I thought of them while we're recording this show. And of course, people that are paid supporters, I was going to say on Patreon, but on locals.com, people that are supporting us through Locals, they have access to the full pre-show, show, post-show, including transcripts. So any kind of quirky, fun, raunchy, or interesting conversations that we might be having that just are not, pod safe for the podcasting networks out there, they will still be available to our members on unrelenting.
Unrelenting.show, or yes, that would be unrelenting.
Yeah, unrelenting.show is the main site, or unrelenting.locals.com. Exactly. And we're still on Locals. All these people bitching about, Locals getting, sucked in and sold to Google. Yeah, good luck. If it happens, we'll be happy to move. I just don't see it happening. Google's not going to make a bid for Locals or for what's the parent company? The
Rumble?
Rumble. They're not going to freaking buy Rumble next week. Okay. They may buy them 3-4 years from now. Who knows? Maybe not. But for the time being, there's absolutely no reason to assume a whole bunch of stuff and then not use a service that offers actual competition to Google.
Right, unless you're running a better service that we could use, then
exactly. I mean, this is a crazy thing. What is the thought process of people that want you to get off a service because there's a potential that somebody they dislike will buy that service at some future date?
Which is the possibility for anything people are using.
Literally,
right now.
Unless you're doing a home-baked solution on your own hardware, literally any service you use, any software as a service company can at some point be sold. Guess what? You don't need to go public for Google to buy you. In fact, the number of non-public companies that Google has acquired and Apple has acquired and Microsoft has acquired and Facebook has acquired is much higher. Privately owned companies are bought way more frequently than publicly traded companies. So people going into panic, and I'm talking about you know who you are, about not just Locals, but goddamn, I forgot the name of the video company.
Rumble. See, it's a really bad name because
it's a horrible name, right? I can't remember it, therefore it's bad.
It's like a fight. You want to rumble. You want to rumble, man? It's like that old 1960s. You want to be start snapping your fingers and doing it.
Is that what it's coming from? I didn't even know where it came from.
Well,
I thought it was just the sound that like a microphone makes when or speakers make when you're blowing them out.
True. I mean,
They rumble.
it's easy. Let's just remember the guy from the WW. He was the guy from the WWF, right? Or the fighters guy, where it's like, let's get ready to rumble.
Rumble. Let's get. Yeah, that's not WWF though. That was the
UFC.
That was Mike. His name's Michael. Yeah, UFC. Michael. Not Michael Bolton, but it's something like Bolton. It was Michael. Started his last name starts with a B. Michael Butters or something, Butterfield, something like that.
I believe.
But yeah, he did he literally trademarked this. Is the let's get ready to rumble,
which is probably where maybe the name came from. I don't know.
Did it for years and years and years. I kind of doubt it.
Could be rumblings. Yeah, I mean, I guess talk.
Whatever it is. Anyway, point is, going public is probably more of an antidote to being acquired because it becomes more expensive. It becomes much more rare to be acquired if you're a publicly traded company than if you're a privately held company. It's much cheaper and easier to do a deal with a privately held company than it is with a publicly traded company. So anyone that thinks that, oh, yep, now they're going public, therefore that's it, you can't trust them, they'll be acquired by somebody, doesn't know jack shit about the way the market works.
Well, the people that tell you the best thing you could do is roll your own don't understand that by rolling your own, you still have to deal with a host unless you are that hardcore where you have a backbone that you can plug directly into and control your servers. Almost everybody uses a host.
Yeah. I mean, what was that company that got kicked off of, although I was kind of suspicious to begin with, but got kicked off of Amazon, the other conservative, supposedly.
Parler or Gab?
Parler, yeah. I don't think Gab was.
They never got thrown off.
Yeah, I don't think they were on Amazon because they were touting the fact that they got their own infrastructure. But Parler was absolutely on Amazon, and Locals used to be on Amazon, which I was always unhappy with and pointed that out multiple times that, hey, you do know that Amazon could kick Locals off anytime they wanted to, right? So I was super happy.
Yeah, instantaneously.
I was super happy when they got sold to Rumble because Rumble does have its own infrastructure. And so moving the Locals off of Amazon and onto Rumble's infrastructure was kind of a no-brainer. That ensures that there's less potential, what do we want to call it, censorship going on.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But since we're talking about Locals, we do have a few people to thank for today's show. We can do that right now.
Awesome.
It was actually a pretty good show considering we didn't do a show last week. Maybe that's it. You wanted to be like, we didn't do a show and then people get jonesing. They were getting too used to having the shows.
Well, we did a show. Did you not publish it?
No, I've never got around to editing that out. I was also thinking that since this was like New Year's Eve. Just to let all you know, somebody was lazy. We did have a show. He just didn't get around to publishing it. We had to interview.
So we'll have that show available at some point.
A good interview coming very soon.
Yes.
But,
and it's not, there was nothing like tied to the timeline, particularly in it. So you're not going to.
Not until it snows in Austin. I mean, if it snows in Austin,
you've got about weekend, 2 weeks. You got 2 weeks, buddy.
That's when this thing drops, and exactly to explain
it's about
why.
70 right now. But yeah, the topic of the show covered a lot of areas, including the energy grid in Texas.
Yeah, Saturday here, it's supposed to get between 4 and 8 inches of snow, and Sunday it's supposed to be a high of 17. So it's going to be a fun New Year's weekend here in Chicago.
Now, I know you don't leave the house, but how little sunlight do you actually have now?
That's there's not a lot. I mean, you get a few hours,
like
but
11 a.m. and 1 p.m. kind of thing.
Well, you could really tell in the morning that it's still like pitch dark at 7 a.m. I mean, between 9 a.m. and like 4, there's some sun.
Really?
I mean, if we don't have cloud cover, but there's a lot of time now with the weather that there will be cloud cover with the snow and that. But I go outside. I like getting the snowblower going and putting. See, podcasting helps with that too, because that gives me a reason to listen to a good half hour or so of a podcast while being out there. Now,
for those of us in the South, what the hell is a snowblower?
You lived in Minnesota.
I'm asking for the Southern folk.
For the people that don't understand the concept.
I know what it is. I've run them before.
It's like a lawnmower for snow. It takes the snow and it moves.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like an automatic shoveler because, I don't want to shovel. I mean, mainly not just because it's physical exercise, but it's horrible on the back. We only had like 2 inches.
People do it wrong. I mean, that's the other issue. I've realized a long time ago that shoveling shouldn't involve lifting the shovel.
No, push.
It's a pushing. It really should be pushing, not shoveling.
Now, if it was like the other day, we only had 2 inches of snow, but it was right on that line between being rain and snow. So it was like so heavy.
So it was like sleet.
Yeah. And even the snowblower was just like, every few feet, just kind of crapping out and the stuff just getting kind of stuck and, not fun. But if you don't clear it up.
Just stick your hand in there to just open it up.
Oh, dude.
Clear it out.
My parents had a snowblower back in the day that had the big metal blades. This is
you don't have that?
No, these are like rubber blades now.
Oh God, no. Mine was my snowblower that I was running was absolutely metal.
Yeah,
you could easily rip an arm off. I think it was
yes, you could.
Like a 4 horsepower ish thereabouts.
Yeah, you got to throw that snow, man.
30 feet.
Because
30 feet snow throwage.
Yeah, well, that's the only way to do it. Because with the snow blowers that don't have enough lift to them, so you can't throw it far enough. I mean, you're going down the driveway and it's not getting it past the driveway.
So the last one that I had before I moved south it had tracks. So it was auto propelled.
Ooh, nice. So it's part tank.
It was part tank. It had tracks. And you didn't have a seat or anything. You still walked behind it, but you really didn't need to do much because it was you just have to hold down one button that basically says, yes, I'm still here. Kind of like driving a Tesla. Like you don't really have to drive it. You just have to kind of touch the steering wheel now and then to let the car know you're still there. You haven't climbed into the back seat.
Right. Yeah, you're not taking a nap.
Yeah, exactly. But the benefit of having tracks meant that the snowblower by itself could press down against the asphalt without you having to push on it or lift it in any manner at all.
Right, which is nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that worked pretty well. I think it was a Honda.
I just can't believe there's no kids around in the neighborhood anymore that are like wanting to do the snow removal for you.
The millennials don't have kids.
Yeah, that may be it. There
are literally no kids. This is absolutely a fact, is that the population of the United States is going down just like the population of every country in Europe and Russia.
But not China.
No, China too. China absolutely is going down. It's a problem now. They're starting to recognize in China as well.
Well, yeah, they just lifted the ban, right?
Yeah, they lifted it a while ago. They're actively promoting more people having more children right now because they're doing the forecasting and realizing they're going to have like a 3-to-1 ratio of earning young people to retired old people before too long.
They're like, we need world domination too. So that's helpful.
That's a problem for them. But it is in the U.S. as well. And the only thing that makes the population of the U.S. go up every census is immigration, both legal and illegal.
Makes sense.
So this may be the dirty little secret why neither Republicans nor Democrats want to do anything about illegal immigration. Is because if you really clamp down on illegal immigration, and even if you still have full legal immigration at maximum capacity, the total population of the United States would either hover where it's at or start going down.
Well, the trick is you make everybody have to pay taxes, though. It doesn't matter if you're here legally or illegally. Then there's a lot of people here illegally that aren't paying taxes.
And it is, all kidding aside, there is less of a distinction if you're not going to enforce laws in general.
Oh, no kidding. Which they don't. So it's
they do a little bit in Texas, but in a lot of places they really don't. Certainly in California they don't. So does it really matter if you came here legally and do any kind of activities you engage in since they're no longer illegal? Are they even really any different than anybody who came here legally at that point?
No, well, you're definitely contributing to the economy.
Yeah, because they're still stealing products from the grocery store just like everybody else. So, it's not like they're acting any differently as illegal immigrants.
Yeah, that's like working, though. Going out and stealing from the local CVS. That's like a job.
It is. Like maybe there's an opportunity here for a company to pivot into doing stolen goods delivery.
We'll steal your goods for you.
You use an online menu to select what you'd like to have brought to your house that you would have otherwise stolen of your own accord. And there is a slight upcharge but we'll go ahead and take care of that for you.
No,
and
that's
then
an
deliver
interesting
the
idea,
goods
Gene.
directly to you.
That's an interesting.
We do not provide any legal or business advice on this show, but that is a pretty cool idea, though, huh?
Right. I mean, because all you have to do is mirror the Target website or whatever store you're targeting.
Yeah. Just pick your goods right here.
You target their site and you put prices on them. So you're like, oh, that $500 Xbox, we can sell that to you for $250.
Yeah, $125 probably.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess. And well, then will you tip your driver when he brings your stolen goods? Are you giving him your credit card? Would you give the stolen goods people?
Yeah, well, you probably don't really have money to pay with a credit card, so you're going to have to open up a line of credit with your delivery company. But the thing you got to keep in mind is the line of credit with the delivery company, they kind of expect to get paid or you're going to lose some fingers.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, or break your legs.
Mm-hmm.
This is a whole new business model.
It's not going to end well. I'm thinking it might be a whole thing where you maybe even get to a point where you have whole delivery trucks that get rerouted from the Targets and the Macy's of the world directly to this new venture. And then, you can provide direct deliveries to the houses of the products that used to be on that particular truck with home delivery. And you offer company credit services. I mean, it's a whole business, really, if you think about it. And even for drugstores, I mean, why would you exclude that? You might as well have home delivery on drugs.
Sure. I mean, I think they do, kind of, depending on your dealer. I mean, if they're given full service. Well,
I think there's probably some standalone, dealers out there at this point. There's really not a good Uber-like service. We did have one for a little while.
Uber for drug. Yeah.
It used to be called now
you're talking legal
Silk
drugs
Road.
like
it used
Walgreens?
to be called Silk Road.
Right. The Silk Road website.
Yeah. And that was one of the early sort of contenders that had pivoted in the direction of delivery of a variety of goods, no questions asked. And you could even pay for it with fake money. But I think right now there's not really much competition in that space. So this space is just primed for somebody to come in and take over.
Primed and ready. And now, I mean, again, all you have to do is all your local stores just put their goods up, put a price on them. Boom. You have a business. And but here at Unrelenting, we won't send people to break your arms or legs if you don't donate. We don't do that.
Well, I mean, we can't really say whether we do it or not. We'll leave that up to you to decide.
Nice. That's one way to get the numbers to go up. But this was a good week. I think everybody's happy that 2021 is coming to an end.
To read off. You want to get that out of the way?
Yeah. First and foremost, Oystein Burge coming in with $50.
Holy shit, man. Yeah, we must really do something you like.
Yes, we do something he likes. Maybe, or we just not talking for a week. Was like,
probably won't have a donation from after this episode now.
Do more than that after, do more not talking.
Was there a note?
No, there was no note.
Okay. Well, we'll just leave it up to our imaginations then.
We appreciate that. Also, there was a no note, just a monthly donation again from our buddy Sir Sean of the Allegheny Valley, coming in with $25.
Nice.
He comes in monthly with 25 for Unrelenting and 15 for Random Thoughts, RANDUMB thoughts.com. And that's very much appreciated.
Yeah, think about adding Sir Gene to that list too.
Sir Gene Speaks? I mean, you have to actually do more than one episode.
Well, hey, I did an episode this month.
What, did you do one last month or the month before that?
Well, if somebody donates once a month, I mean, do you really need to do more than one a month?
Right. You figure
you just need the episode where you read off the names of the people that donated.
I've gotten over the bar. So that's the Sir Gene Speaks method, which is if somebody donates, I have to do an episode to thank them. So
that is pretty good. I mean, all kidding aside, that is very, very strong, compelling
encouragement
encouragement and reason to actually get a show out. Yeah. It does make you look a bit like a dick to get a donation and not do another episode.
Yes. Yeah. You're like, okay, now I have to do the episode because people are digging it because they're donating.
Well, and in the end, I mean, certainly with Sir Gene, more so than this show, but I do it for me. I do it mainly because I want to say something.
Yes.
And I no longer have friends.
Right.
Who I used to be able to call up and say these things to. So instead of friends, I now have a microphone. So I can speak into the microphone instead of calling friends. say what I would have said to a friend. But if I'm talking into a microphone, I might as well record it and then see what I sound like.
And if I'm recording it never anyway,
well, you say that, but I've seen a case where one ghosted Adam not too long ago.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah, he had to get a replacement microphone.
But then he found out it wasn't bad.
Well, mixed messages is what happens in a relationship.
Mixed messages.
You start just like assuming the worst of somebody, like your microphone.
Right.
And then you find out that they did nothing wrong and you have to apologize. And
by that time, you replaced it with another microphone. And that's inconvenient.
Yeah, that could be awkward.
I heard on the latest edition of Curry and the Keeper, maybe it was the one prior to that.
Isn't that a great show? I love that show.
It's Adam Curry and his wife.
Wait,
Tina.
Is that the same guy?
Yeah, same guy.
Oh, I thought it was a different guy.
No, totally the same guy.
Because this one's funny. I like this guy.
Right. Totally different personality.
Right.
But the reality now is the house they're in has so many dimmers. His wife, Tina, was talking about that you have to do everything in the dark while a show is going on.
Oh, is that what they said?
Yes.
With a bottle of wine open, mind you.
Well, probably. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Yes.
That's part of the fun of that particular show.
That's what I saw on the camera anyway.
Podcasting in the dark. I don't know. That doesn't seem.
That sounds like a show title.
Yeah. It seems like podcasting after dark would be something Jack Murphy might be.
That's
into.
right. Yeah, I think he probably did do a little bit of that.
Podcasting in the dark may be different, but also coming in at $14.23, Chuvak, who says, my hope is that this show is your exit strategy, which, I guess that kind of makes sense. And it could be the exit strategy, but
we'd have to have something to exit from, though.
Right. It would be the show, but the show is the exit strategy if there's enough money that the show brings in that you no longer have to do the show.
Well, we certainly appreciate all contributions.
We do. Coming in at $10 via check, our buddy Chuda Kookie. And of course, Jeremy Gerdes still coming in to 33-cent checks, which I leave them until the end of the month. And I take 30 pictures with my phone.
It's just more work for you as well. That's all he's doing. It's not even work for the bank. It's just work for you.
I know. And I realize that, but I still think it's funny. So at some point, I'll just start shredding the checks.
You haven't crossed over the not any longer funny?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Not as of yet. But we appreciate, like you said, every donation that comes in. We are a Value for Value podcast, and you can get involved at unrelenting.show or at locals.unrelenting.com.
Yeah. And incidentally, anybody that is sending in checks and cash and things.
Oh, the cash you'll never hear about. Let's be honest.
Well, that's probably true. I probably won't hear about it either. That'll be like, what donate? What are you talking about?
The donation. Oh, no.
We totally appreciate it. Some people prefer to do it that way. We totally understand that. And certainly it makes things fairly easy for us as well. But if you do want to get that access to our pre-show, post-show, as well as live video chats when they actually start happening, and we've done all the testing. We could have done today on video, frankly, but
I didn't have the blue
I think
screen
both of us
set
are a
up
little too lazy. Is what it comes down to.
Then I would have to get dressed.
Oh no, not that. Well, maybe that. Yeah, because you'd have to switch from your streaming on OnlyFans to streaming for the podcast.
Right now, see, you're including a free month of Sir Gene's OnlyFans with every donation this month.
There is a discount code that you get once you join us.
I'm blind. Is that the discount code?
Well, I'm not going to say it for people that haven't joined us. You get a discount coin when you make that jump to being a supporting member.
When you make exactly.
Because remember, this show is brought to you by people just like you.
Just like you.
Except that they actually gave us money.
And we appreciate each and every one of you.
Exactly. And we do appreciate people that are just listening as well. And I think there's been some concern from one of the hosts on this show about the dwindling numbers of listeners, which the other host is completely not concerned about because he generally does shows for himself.
Right. I've heard that.
That's the main reason for it.
I was just pointing out metrics and I think people maybe want the show to have some kind of roadmap, even though I know we both like the fact that there is no roadmap. And it can
I don't know about
anywhere.
you. I start with an outline every time I get on the show.
Well, yeah, but your topics are all over the place, and that's the beauty of it. You don't know if you're going to be talking about video games. You don't know if you're going to be talking about politics. You don't know if you're going to be talking about tech. There are a lot of shows out there that are like, hey, we're a tech show and we can only talk about tech and we'll never touch anything else or politics that way.
I mean, some people just have a lot more time apparently, but some of these shows are literally scripted where what you're listening to when you listen to a podcast episode,
it's an audiobook.
A chick or a guy reading, basically an audiobook, they're reading a written document out loud to you.
Now, some of them, like on YouTube,
there might be a place for some of that. I generally like to listen to content that is happening on the fly, which is why I've been a huge fan of No Agenda for many years, is not just the political conversations, but it's the form of the form of the show, or the format of the show, I guess, because it isn't scripted. It is live. The reactions that you hear on that show as well as this one are genuine. They're not staged. They're not scripted.
Wait, let's wait. No, you didn't laugh hard enough there. Let's redo that joke.
Well, you did kind of make me redo the hit it part. So I guess that part is scripted. God damn it. So here I am lying to our listeners.
But you have to say, start the recorder and then give me a second and then you can hit it.
That's way too long. I feel like you ought to be prepared as an audio professional.
Should
to
always
hit the
be
button
recording
at any time.
Yeah,
well, that
right.
that would be the easy thing, is to hit the record button right away. Like
way more blackmail material.
I mean, I have 2 recorders going just in case.
I have 3 right now, just
you
in case
3
the
right
apocalypse
now, but
hits.
You didn't turn a single one of them on.
No, you record the pre-show. Why would I want extra recordings?
God damn it! Yes,
that doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. Then the other part is because my Descript stopped recording in the midwave through this show. We're only going to have transcripts for part of this show for our supporting members, which generally they get a full transcript of the post show as well as the show itself. So
unless
I apologize
we upload it
to you guys
YouTube, and then you'll have all of them.
Well, that's assuming that YouTube doesn't stop recording in the middle of our show. Yes.
Now, there's a bunch of YouTube videos. I know these things have to have been going around for a while, but I'm finding more lately, which are a computerized voice basically reading a script, which is the most annoying.
Yeah. There's a ton of them, and some of the voices are actually pretty good until you start noticing that they pronounce the same letters exactly the same way in every word.
Yes, no matter what.
Yeah, no matter what. But they otherwise sound pretty natural. And I always put a comment into these talking about how they're really actually just run by Chinese bots.
Right.
And oh my God, do they instantly get scared of those comments and try and explain away that they're no. And then I'm not going to do a fake Chinese accent, but you kind of get the impression of the fake English that they're going to be doing in these comments to prove that they are not some Chinese bots, but in fact are,
hardworking Americans.
Real Americans living in California cities of Chicago.
Well, let's be honest. There's more commies in California and Chicago than there are in
China. Probably a true statement right there.
And I say,
all right, what else you got? Is that it? Should we go into post show? Are we done with the show? Or is anybody else?
I got one more topic. I think we have to mention the death of Demo Dick, Richard Marcinko. I mean, we've talked about him.
You saved a not funny, truly sad topic for the end, didn't you?
The guy was a legend.
Still is.
Yes.
Still is a legend. The legend will live on forever, even if the man is dead.
And he was one of the, really.
Tell people who Demo Dick is.
Demo Dick was the guy. And I did a whole episode.
I mean, it sounds like a porn star name.
Yes, it does, really. But I did a lot of this on Random Thoughts this week because this was a guy that...
Oh, did you put out an episode of your own show too, just like me?
Yes.
Oh, wow,
I do that every Wednesday. I mean,
I didn't realize you were doing that.
That's the beauty of this whole podcasting thing. But Richard Marcinko was the guy, was in the Navy, was the guy that created SEAL Team 6, which is the baddest ass of the SEALs. That was the folks
Black
that
Ops.
got they're the ones that got Bin Laden. They're the ones that can do the stuff that nobody else can do.
Mm-hmm.
And this was created, I mean, back at a time where I watched, there's a whole, I'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, do that.
There's a whole Red Cell documentary on YouTube.
And there's all these groups are sort of intertwined. So Red Cell was a group that was testing the security of American military installations. Man, I got to tell that story sometime too of doing that.
Yes.
And then that group came out of SEAL Team 6, which was a bigger unit that Marcinko created, which came out of underwater demolition. What was the acronym?
Underwater.
It was underwater demolitions and something. And that was the group that the former governor of Minnesota, Jesse Ventura, was a part of.
Yes.
And people that are too damn young to not remember a time before there was a SEAL, that there was Navy SEALs. The U.S. Navy actually had an underwater
demolition team.
UDS, was it UDS? Whatever the acronym was.
Yeah,
but it was basically
underwater demolition
and something. I can't remember. I can't not remember the something.
You can't not remember.
It's horrible. It's the age, but that's where Jesse was involved in, for all practical purposes. And Jesse is a SEAL, and some people have done their research by going on Wikipedia and saying no, he isn't, because he was never in SEALs. Well, that's because the SEALs didn't exist when he was in there, but he literally was one of the last groups of that team of Navy guys before the SEALs were established. And he's got plenty of fun stories. And that's one of the things I liked about Jesse, is he's a crazy motherfucker.
Most SEALs, I think, are.
Yeah, I think there's a certain element, because as part of BUD/S training, you have to essentially lose consciousness because you're underwater with your feet and hands tied, and you run out of breath and your brain shuts down. And the test is, you're not going to die, because there's a guy right next to you that will grab you and bring you to the surface as soon as you pass out. But the test is literally to get to that point where you pass out in order to prepare you and let you know what it's like for that to happen and not panic when it happens in the real life.
Right. And it's also a big trust exercise there that they are going to
you're going to have some fucking trust involved, that's for sure. But yeah, there's tons of videos you can watch or read about BUD/S and the training that the prospective SEALs go through. It's a voluntary group. You can leave at any time by ringing the bell. I've been to I can't remember the name of the base now at the top of my head again. Just memory, just
top secret
right now. It's really not. No, I was going to say the SEAL base in Coronado Island, off of the coast of San Diego. It's a very large facility. You can watch the actual BUD/S training out there. You can watch the SEALs going through, or the trainees going through their training out there. There's a lot of cool stuff in San Diego, in the Navy base in general. The Air Force base is pretty fun out there. I got a lot of stories. Anyway, so he will be sorely missed as a guy that was really one of the key forces and the creator of SEAL Team 6, which incidentally, do you know why it is SEAL Team 6?
He thought 6 was a lucky number, and he wanted to screw with the Russians because they're like, well, where's SEAL Team 3, 4, and 5?
That's exactly correct, because it was a mindfuck game to make the communists, not just the Russians, but the communists really think that they just found out about this thing and it's the 6th one. And oh my God, there's 5 others that we don't know about. Where are they located?
Right. I mentioned that in Random Thoughts, which it's great if you're the country that has the biggest stick, but it's almost as good if people think you have the biggest stick.
Yeah, that's actually more important.
That is the beauty. It is a PSYOP thing. And I didn't realize that SEAL Team 6 came out of the failed hostage rescue of the Iran hostage crisis back in 1979. So the SEAL Team 6 is a relatively new thing.
Yeah. The SEALs themselves are much older, but SEAL Team 6 is absolutely, it didn't seem like it was that long ago. I remember when they were created.
I know. We're old. But then after his time with SEAL Team 6, that is when Red Cell was formed. And that is when he angered a lot of people. And the Red Cell
played
documentary,
a little bit hard in his Red Cell exercises. Like they actually, when they were testing security operations, they would actually.
And this was all at American bases. They planted bombs near Air Force One.
Yeah, it's all totally legit. But Yeah, like they would go to test an Air Force base, and then they would actually grab and gag and tie the personnel that was guarding it.
Right.
And then, not just like tap on their shoulder, show them the document that says, we're here testing security. Your next order is to just sit quietly and, drink your drink and remain quiet while we're conducting this exercise. No, they took it to the next level, and they acted truly like the bad guys, and where they fully red teamed it, and it took physical control of the assets.
That had to be so much fun. In the documentary, they mentioned grabbing an admiral and slapping him around, which is the stuff they got away with. Because
yeah. Well, when you have a get out of jail document, I've had the privilege to have a few of those over my lifetime. It is something else, dude. It is a power like you don't get to have most of the time.
And you enjoy it while you do.
Oh my God. Having that get out of jail card, there was one incident. I'll just tell one little one. There was one time that I was going to go to lunch with a client that was working on a large security project. And I said, look, I'll just swing by and pick you up. Well, we'll go together in my car. And we did that, went, grabbed lunch, had good conversation. And as we're starting to head back, and I was going to drop him off at his building, I see the cop car behind me with its blinkers on. I'm like, oh, what the heck? And so the cop car pulls me over. And I'm like, I wonder what happened here. It's cop car. The policeman walks over to the car. Get your license registration. No, I guess he started off, well, you know how fast you're going there. And of course, the proper answer is, yes, sir, I do. It was the speed limit. And
sure you were.
So, I give him my driver's license and the insurance card. He goes back, sits down in his car. You can see him in the rearview mirror. He's, punching some stuff in and then he's talking on the radio. And then he very quickly gets out of his car, walks back to my car, gives me back my driver's license, my insurance paper, and he says, I'm sorry, sir, would you like an escort for the rest of your trip?
You're like, what? Oh, how old is she?
And I said, no, I'm good. I'm almost at my destination. And I was totally nonchalant about it. I totally played it super cool. The guy sitting in my passenger seat, the guy that I was there to take out to lunch, has his mouth open, looking at me with the biggest confusion on his face. Who the fuck are you?
You didn't know you were Russian royalty?
Yes, I'm sure that's exactly why I got him a speeding ticket. I was Russian royalty. I don't think he's ever been more impressed in his life that he's witnessed this in person than something as minor as a cop who pulled me over for speeding, offering to give me an escort for my drive.
You couldn't set it up better.
Oh my God. No, I couldn't, because it was like, I don't know what'd be more impressive, if you set that up or if that was real.
Right.
Like, both would be fucking impressive. What the hell?
It's like having the biggest stick.
It really is like, I don't need to demonstrate anything because I know who I am, and I had that for 5 years. So for 5 years, it was actually fun to get pulled over by cops. It was an enjoyable experience because especially if somebody was there with me. That was, even if I'm there alone, it was still kind of fun, but it was especially fun if somebody was there with me because the reaction, it was one of complete and utter shock. It's almost like I'm a well-known model, supermodel type.
Oh yeah. People,
and the cops just like, oh my God, can I get your autograph? It was that type of experience. And it kind of sucked when that stopped happening.
I was going to say, now you're worried about getting pulled over because the anal cavity searches and all of that.
Right. Well, no, I'm not really worried because they don't pull anybody over anymore because there aren't any more cops in Austin. Because Austin doesn't believe in the police department anymore.
Yeah, defund, baby.
Yeah, man, that's a good bandwagon to jump on, I think. So anyway, there's another 20 minutes we just yapped.
Yeah, the best thing about the Red Cell documentary was the end when they're rolling the credits and the woman that was doing the interviewing is asking everybody from the admiral to the other guy that was high up in the chain to Richard Marcinko. You know, the guy that was one of his team members is in here. And the question to all of them was, because Red Cell, when they went out to do all of this, every minute of their operations were videotaped. They hired other ex-Special Force guys to videotape everything so that when the base commanders would go, no, you didn't do that at my base. You didn't break in. You didn't do that. They'd have video evidence, which really embarrassed them. But the question at the end was, so where's all the video now? And everybody's like, no, I don't know. The other guy must have it. No, this guy must have it. It's like, yeah, that video, Marchenko made the comment that in 50 years, everybody will see it because it'll all become, non-classified.
Right.
Which I would love to see all of that. That would probably be better than any motion picture being made now.
Yep.
Is exactly what those guys did.
I think it would be fun. And he's got a whole series of, quote, fictional books, unquote.
Yes.
Which are fun to read. His original book, Rogue Warrior, was a semi-autobiographic. That was another really good book.
And then Red Cell was next. That was the first one that was under fiction.
Yeah.
Sure it was.
Well, yeah. I mean, I will say progressively with each book, there was more fiction in it.
Yes, but the writing was great.
But like you and I have both met him, and I went to like the bars that he described going to in DC. Like a lot of places are exactly in the books where they are in real life, or at least used to be around the time that he wrote the books. So it was kind of fun doing a little
sneak and peek.
Well, no, not even. Not reconnaissance. It's really more like celebrity tourism, if anything.
But it made the books more real. It gave them the air of more accuracy, even the ones that were fictional.
Yeah. I think he even said it is because it was easier to just tell the truth than to lie.
That is, and the stories were probably better. And he was a hell of a storyteller.
And there were genuine wanted posters for him dead in Vietnam when he served in Vietnam.
Yeah, that's where his career kind of started. And
that's where he got to get a reputation for sure.
I mean, there were a lot of people I know, and I was never, and still aren't, a huge fiction reader when it comes to books. I'll read a lot of, sports biography, stuff like that. But Demo Dick read every one of the books because they were damn good. And he will be missed.
They have a hell of a cast of characters, too.
Yes. It's the team, baby. The whole team, it all just works. So check out his books. You could probably pick them up for pennies on the dollar now.
Probably, yeah, these days, yeah.
Read them on your Kindle. Give you something to do when we get dumped on 8 inches of snow this week. And that's going to be fun.
That guy was definitely an alpha male.
Do you think?
He had the beard and everything.
Is that how it all goes down? And he was Slovak, right? And
he is a Slovak brother.
There you go. So it all works out.
Yeah, because Marchenko is actually Marchenko.
See, I have heard it both ways, and this
he pronounced it both ways
because
he talked about it at some point where like he wasn't even sure which was the proper pronunciation.
Interesting.
But if you actually Google that name, you start finding a bunch of people that actually live in Slovakia. And if you look at the way they would pronounce that name, it would be now I can't remember either, but it was one of those,
right?
But because it's easy to I can imagine it both ways now. And I thought I knew, but it's generally the opposite of whichever way that most people pronounce it.
See, and this will make you laugh because I did the whole recording of my show and I said Marchenko because that's always the way I've said it was Marchenko. Yeah. And then I watched something before I published it.
That was Marchenko?
Yeah, so I went back and changed every time.
Oh, dude, don't do that. You should have just alternated them. Marchenko. Yeah,
that would drive people even more nuts.
Oh, I don't know. But I think he would laugh at that. I think that'd be funny.
No matter how you say his name.
He was a good guy. He instilled a lot of, again, this is like kidding aside, instilled a lot of good philosophy and practical advice that I took to heart on things like he has his 10 commandments, and there are things like you don't have to like it, you just have to do it.
Yeah. And I treat everybody the same, just like shit.
And I remember these.
Yes.
And I first read them 30 years ago. So, and really, it's not like I've been sitting there reading his books to refresh, because they're true and they're accurate. And if you follow those commandments, then you'll have less FUBAR situations.
Right. The more you sweat in training, the less you bleed in combat.
Bleed in combat. Absolutely.
And a lot of that wrote a couple business books, and those
were not very good.
They weren't great, but no. they were solid concepts.
It was a good try
grab.
To try and, it was a total money grab to try and kind of somebody, I guarantee you, some publisher went to him and said, hey, your 10 commandments, we could probably get a book out with turning those into business concepts, and
which was exactly what they did.
Yeah. And I'm not sure how much of it he actually wrote. It might have been, most likely it was ghostwritten with just somebody talking to him and then wrote the book.
It all worked in the end. America was safer. Do they do any of this now? That's a conversation for another show.
They do, but not nearly to the extent that SEAL Team 6 was doing it when they were doing it. There is a lot more care to be politically correct these days.
That is going to be the detriment.
Well, it's already been the detriment. I mean, we've mentioned this in the past. Now our show is like over 2 hours.
No, this part is only 80 minutes.
Oh, well, hell, we're good here then. That's right. I'm including the pre-show for people that have supported us. What the hell did I start talking about?
This concept of this woke world and security, and how all of this, what's it take to be a warrior today? I mean, all of this. Oh no, we can't.
Oh yeah,
we have to give somebody their safe space. I mean, come on, you're doing training for SEAL Team 6. There is no safe space.
Exactly. The safe space exists in your mind. It's in your mind palace. It's not in your physical body. But I forgot what the hell I was going to say. I was going to talk about something really interesting.
That happens every show.
I know it does. It does. Look, I'm taking all the vitamins that I can, but clearly maybe I need to up the Bs.
Yes.
Get a little more B5, B12 in there.
Yeah, maybe you just
do one of those transfusions of adrenochrome.
You're right. You need the blood of a nice 8-year-old or something like that. Is that what you need?
That's not legal. We don't give that kind of advice here. No, they have to be 18.
Right.
18 is the legal age for blood
18?
Transfusion.
No, yeah, I didn't.
You started a little young.
I didn't.
But yeah. I mean, I know plenty of people that do those transfusions on a regular basis
because they think they're going to live forever.
To the contrary?
Not yet.
I mean, isn't that the definition of a vampire?
I think so.
Somebody that consumes the blood of others and lives forever?
Yeah, that'd be kind of boring to live forever.
Well, and it's not really forever, right? Because they're afraid of sunlight, because sunlight kills viruses.
That's what I've heard. But God bless Demo Dick. God bless the Warriors.
We're better off for having him been around.
Yeah, we need more. We need more people that can do the stuff nobody else wants to do, and do it with flair
and have balls.
Yes, yeah, that's also
more people
something
with balls. That's the bottom line.
That's the bottom line of the show. More balls, good.
Lots of balls, just balls everywhere.
That's a completely different podcast. That's the OnlyFans show, I'm pretty sure. That's the tagline.
I think we're officially going into the after show now.
I think we're officially going off the rails. We better cut it here until we'll be back next week for a whole new adventure
in a brand new year.
Ooh, I like that. Later, everybody.